This project is working to add humor to a speech through anecdotes and stories. The purpose of this project is to begin developing a collection of humorous stories and to present a speech that includes humor. Timer, please note that the time duration for this speech is 5 to 7 minutes. All the best to the speaker, and over to you, Mr. Toastmaster, of the day.
Title is What's in a Name? Toastmaster Biswaraj. Toastmaster Biswaraj, what's in a name?
Biswaraj Biswas. If you look at my name, then the first 5 letters of my first name and the first 5 letters of my last name are just the same. So much that Toastmaster Rajat once made a remark that it looks like there's a typo somewhere. Toastmasters and guests, good evening. Now, both my parents have their first names starting with the letter B. So when I was born, one problem was solved already. They knew that the name of their son had to start with B. And then came the journey of name hunting. My grandfather came up with the name of Boishampayan, who was a rishi of Mahabharata. But the name sounded very ancient and outdated and was outcast right away. My parents came up with other names like Bodhisatto and Bodhaditya, but both these names would be very difficult for a child to pronounce or even to spell out, and hence they were discarded as well. And in came Biswaraj Biswas. Biswaraj meaning the king of the world, an apparently very, very simple name. But this simple name too had its own stories as well, which made me go about some experiences here and there. When I went to school, I went to a Christian missionary school. And interestingly, from nursery till class 5, none of my teachers were Bengalis. And every one of them made it a point that they pronounced me as Biswaraj Biswas, so much so that I was convinced that my name was Biswaraj Biswas. It was only in class 5 that I came across a Bengali class teacher who started calling me as Biswaraj Bishash, and I came to know of this Bengali variant of my name. But by then, I already had 3 lessons of life. Number 1, there were and are and will be a set of people who will make it a point that they mispronounce my name to Bishwadip, Bishwajit, Bishwanath, or Prithviraj, Dhanaraj, and what else? Everything other than Biswaraj. Secondly, at an examination hall with my name and surname both starting with B, I will be the first one to get the answer script for sure. But when the bell rings, the teacher will come and snatch my paper right away. I won't have time for the last minute hall corrections. Is it a C? Is it a A? I never had the scope. By then, the paper was already in the hands of the invigilator. And third is, there always will be, are, and were a group of friends who will always figure out ways to make my name distorted. B, Bis, Biswa, and whatnot. I remember in class 11, an incident happened. In class 11, Link came up with a spelling competition. And in my school, class 12 seniors were supposed to take down the names of the students who were interested. They came to my class, took down my name, and they went. We had the audition round, and one day it was announced that list of participants have been put in the school notice board. I went with my friend, rushed, and was trying to figure out my name in the list. It was not there. And I was heartbroken. I was not that bad in spellings. I was about to take a U-turn and come back when something bothered me. And I felt, let me have a look at the list from bottom upwards. And there I was. Vishwaraj Biswas. Can you imagine? My dear senior had changed my name from Biswaraj to Vishwaraj. And I thought that I'm the only unlucky guy on the earth who is facing this. But trust me on this, when I watched Kahani and I saw Vidya Bakshi and Vidya Bakshi having the same problem, I was delighted. I cannot be the only one facing this. After my school came my college days. And in college, I had more of my Bengali friends only. And so my naming convention was not a problem at all. No one messed up my name that much. And even in my first few years of my job in Kolkata. But things took a turn when I went to Los Angeles in 2016. This apparently simple name of mine had so many variations I never knew. I joined a Toastmasters club in LA. When I joined and walked in, I saw people were unable to even pronounce my name. Biswaraj became something like, I'll tell you, do you remember Hansi Kronj or Nikki Boj? Sorry, it's Hansi Kronier or Nikki Boye. The same thing happened to me. Biswara, Biswarai, Vishwarash, and so many variations that I became fed up and said, call me B, that is better. And I went to the area contest to represent my club. The contest chair walked up to me and said, I cannot call B. I need your full name. Please help me. And I was at a loss. How do I explain to him my name? How to pronounce my name? I came up with a plan. I said, hey, John, how did you come to the contest? He said, I came by my car. All right. So where do you park your car in your home? He said, in the garage. I said, that's funny. That's lovely. You put your car in the garage, and here I am, Biswaraj. He had a laughter. He had a big laugh. But thankfully, he never mispronounced my name throughout the contest. Garage, Biswaraj sounded so convincing to him. Dear Toastmasters and friends, Shakespeare, the great William Shakespeare, had once said, what's in a name? To which I answer, or rather I reckon, there are lots in a name. Because a name defines the person who you are. The name defines the persona that you have. And what else? The name defines the journey that you have in life, the experiences that you have in life, and how you deal with them. You have a name, and you are bound to have a story. This is what I feel. Toastmasters, what do you feel? Mr. Toastmaster of the day, what is your take on this?
Sir, Amrish, General Evaluator, sir. Toastmaster Biswaraj, you had me chuckling as you took me through the stories revolving around your name. Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Boishampaya. But Toastmaster Biswaraj, if your exam was to make us laugh, you have passed with distinction. I'm going to elaborate on 3 aspects that I liked about your speech, and then try to amplify that so that it would have worked even better for me. Number 1, I saw that you had well-timed hand gestures throughout the speech, right? When you spoke about your answer sheet being snatched away or looking for your name on the notice board, those were areas where it was on point. There was an instance where you mentioned took a wrong turn, but I reckon the hand gesture came a tad late. And I don't know if you noticed it yourself, but initially you were swiping away sweat, or maybe it was disobedient strands of hair from your forehead, and that took away my focus from your speech. These, Toastmaster Biswaraj, are the little hiccups I want you to address. Point number 2. You also attempted voice modulation through the use of dialogues, and I applaud you for doing it successfully. You had the right amount of accent to differentiate between your characters. Also, when you were looking for the answers in your exam, when you did a solo voice of you looking here and there, that was again brilliantly done. Now, remember when you said the names of Boishampayam and Bodhisatya? I thought you missed a chance to add voice modulation there to show how ancient those names were. Boishampayan and Bodhisatya. So that would give the audience complete clarity that these were indeed old names. In another instance, I heard the phrase, none of them, said without the shock that could have accompanied it had I said it. None of them. something like that. Again, these, Toastmaster Biswaraj, are the little hiccups I want you to address. I loved how you organized your speech in a linear way that eventually concluded with tying all the stories to the speech title. What's in a name? Everything. Brilliantly done. Similarly, I would have loved it more had you organized the use of the different parts of the stage for different stories and used the center only for those parts where you were not narrating an anecdote. To summarize, Toastmaster Biswaraj, I applaud you for the way you organized your speech, used your hand gestures, and used voice modulation in your speech. Building on these skills you already have by paying attention to the finer details, that's what would want me to hear you more often. All the best, Toastmaster Biswaraj, and back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.